How much time did you spend, and also how interactive was it? Did you walk in with an idea, and then your uki or your stunt team said, "Well, just try this, try that"? Was it a conversation creating choreography, or is it something you knew in mind and you said, "Come in and hit these marks"?
Well, it's a combination of both. I mean, there's a few things that I had in my head primarily, but we have like I mean, you know, it's like us playing. I'll give like a homework assignment, right? It's like the stunt team was like, "Oh, you come up with 4 moves here. You come up with this. Like let me see your beginning. Let me see your beginning." And we pick and see what's better. It's like kind of a committee. It's just a fun thing. And so then we all collaborate, and we probably had how many versions of the first fight scene? We had several of them. But then we say, okay, depending on the time and the space and whatever, and it's pretty quick to just figure out what we're gonna really go with.
I think you said it best on the commentary, or watching these guys work. It's kind of like watching a group of musicians, exactly. Having a jam session. It's talented musicians, and they're just jazzing and just riffing and improvising, and So.
Speaking of that, Ben, I know we were sitting there, Master Logan and I was sitting next to her, just talking about the cameos you had in there, from Jean LaBelle to Fukuyo Demuro. It's like,
yeah, I'm glad people caught those. Yeah, those are some friends of mine. I just call out my phone book. You saw Fumio Demuro.
Bob Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, came up with the idea to name Bob Wall O'Hara.
And the other line, "We don't play that from Pittsburgh."
Oh, yeah.
A lot of inside jokes in the script.
Yeah, I have put that in most of my movies. I got that from Pittsburgh line. Unfortunately, usually the person that utters it dies shortly after.
Okay, I won't monopolize. There's some questions in the back. Yes.
First of all, my brothers, thank you for a fine production. A nice story to go along with the action. Couple of business questions. What was the budget on it? How long did it take to get the financing? How hard was that? And are you now going to control the marketing and distribution of this project?
Budget-wise, I mean, like from my perspective, I was just a hired gun on this. They just brought me in to direct. The budget was about $4 million. We had 21 days to shoot, and as far as the marketing distribution, that was completely out of my hands. So Mike might have a better, perspective. He's one of the producers on it as well.
Well, it was marketed by Sony. It did quite well. It still continues to do quite well. It's one of these weird things that Sony has talked about. 2 movies in particular that this movie and Black Dynamite. He said that both of these movies. They say that usually a movie goes like this, but these movies keep doing this. Well, this if you're looking at it. But it's a rare thing that the life of the movie continues. This was the most heavily bootleg movie on the planet. In Caribbean countries, they were showing the bootleg in theaters. Yeah, it was crazy. But it's had a great life and continues to have it.
I have a question. I saw a lot of scenes that were, to the extent that people might have gotten injured. Did anyone get injured in these scenes to that extent?
No.
I don't want that.
Do you travel with your own stunt team? Do you outsource a stunt team? And how do you collaborate? The stunt team can do the flying, jumping, but what about the actual martial arts? The stunt team, the fight choreography is all the same?
Yeah, it's all the same. It's funny because the stunt team, these are our friends. These are like, if we had a barbecue, everybody there would be at the barbecue. Honestly, it's like our best friends. Like it's kind of weird. It's incestuous. If you look at this, you come to one of our barbecues and you think it was a blood and bone party. Yeah, it's like so many of my friends is in this thing is ridiculous. When I start naming it, it'd take all day.
Yeah, no, it always kind of like throws me out of the movie because I'm watching a movie and I'm seeing somebody that's supposed to be a character. I'm like, oh, there's Mike and there's Ron,
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say the performances, the acting was amazing in the film. Great
Absolutely.
actors. And I love the development of Bone's character. It seems like at the end, it sounds like it's going to be a series. Are you all considering it?
Well, that was the plan, you know. It's just a matter of, the owners, coming out.
Well, the fact of the matter is, there is I don't know if I can say this on tape, so there's a possibility of a sequel that may exist right now, but we have to work that deal.
Now, I was also struck by there's a political, some racial politics. So racial politics to the dialogue toward the end, and that was something that I don't often hear in a movie, and that was very refreshing to bring that dimension to the story.
Oh, that was my doing. That was the scene that they wrestled with, trying to, it was known as the big penis scene. It became I know at one point they wanted to take it out, so I said, this scene will be very offensive to people with small penises. And then they just said, oh, no, it's not me. I like the scene. But the idea behind it was that I knew that there was a big stretch where there wasn't any fighting. And since this is a movie about conflict, I thought that there needed to be a bit of conflict in the movie. So ultimately, what it was just basically a verbal sparring match. So, that was the reason that scene existed. But then I just like to be controversial sometimes.
When did you decide that Matt Mullins would be your basic end fight villain, and how long did you work with him?
Well, actually, Matt Mullins was part of the crew, right? And you see, there's an issue that I run into a lot, and not to blow my own horn, but it's hard to find people to fight for me to have a climactic fight with, because most of the guys my size don't really move that
move
way.
like you do, yeah.
And so I have to kind of Matt Mullins did order fights, as like the pre-vids. We would shoot the fights on the video. Well, Matt is 6'1", and it's rare to find somebody 6'1" who can move that way. And so even though he was a little smaller, we tried to puff him up in his suit. And it's just like, I don't know if anyone saw Undisputed 2, but literally Scott, the guy I fight, he's right here. But I did the whole like Rocky Apollo Creed thing. I was like down here, and we made sure he was on the apple box anytime he stood next to me, so you thought he was taller. So we had to do a lot of things to make him look like that. But it's just so going down the gamut of all of these possible fighters, from UFC guys and everything else. There's a lot of UFC guys that can, they're champions because they can take a good punch, or they whatever. That doesn't translate well on screen. But most of these guys don't have technique. They don't have the basics, and so they don't look good on camera. So it's like, maybe there might be a guy my size, but he may not even have the speed or the technique. And so it looks like I'm fighting down. So Matt can do these things. So we had to make that sacrifice.
And then, since Matt was, he's a real young, good-looking guy, the character was really originally written as a big, brute, real badass. So the fact that, Matt was kind of had these, boyish, looks, we came up with the idea to, change his character just to pretty boy Price, And, his downfall is his arrogance,
Yeah, we even dubbed his voice.